This is Professor Pelton. This is Algebra 2, Chapter 5, Section 3. This is Part 3 of the video. So we're doing pure algebraic transformations now. Remember, there is an order to the transformations. Let me turn my marker on here. So transformation, I have to abbreviate here, which is on the prior page, right? You have to do the horizontal translations first, the scaling second, which could be stretching or shrinking. The reflections over the x or the y-axis must come third, and the vertical translations must come last. It's basically the order of operation because horizontal translations inside, which is parentheses. Scaling reflections is multiplying and dividing, and vertical translations is adding and subtracting, which essentially is the order of operations. So we'll take this function here and do some transformations. We want to horizontally shrink and translate 3 to the left. So 3 to the left is a horizontal translation. That must come first. And shrinking is a scaling. That must come second. There's no reflecting or vertical transformations. We'll do them in the correct order. So translating 3 left is horizontal, which is x, which must be in the inside. So it's 3 left, so I must add 3 because in the inside is counterintuitive. So it's the third root of replacing x with x plus 3, and we get that. The next one is shrinking horizontally. Horizontally is in the inside, so it must be in the inside. And it's counterintuitive since it's in the inside. So 5/6 becomes 6/5. So that changes the x to 6/5 x. So 6/5 x plus 3. So our new function, which we'll call g of x, you can call it anything you want, h of x, whatever you want, is the third root of 6x over 5 plus 3. That is the new function after both transformations are done. Okay, let's move it up. Try 2 more problems. So now we have the square root. And which of these comes first? We have stretch vertically and translate 6 units up. Well, that has to come second because vertical translation is the last thing in the order of operations, which means this comes first. So vertically is y, so that means it's on the outside. So it's 4 times y, because it's straightforward on the outside. So that's 4 times the square root of x plus 1, which is incorrect, as this is 4 times the entire f of x. Thus, you need parentheses. So 4 times f of x equals 4 square roots of x plus 4. So translating 6 up is y, because that's vertical, so it's on the outside. So that's f of x plus 6. So that is the 4 times the square root of x plus 4 plus 6. So that gives me f of x plus 6 equals the fourth root. I did that wrong. I'm sorry. Equals 4 times the square root of x plus 10. Therefore, our new function, which we'll call g of x, and again, you can call it anything you want, just not f of x, because that name is the original function, x plus, and the 10 is not in the square roots, because it's just vertical. Okay, try one more. So this is our original function here. We want to stretch vertically and reflect over the x-axis. Well, stretching and shrinking is scaling. That comes before reflecting in the order of transformations. So vertical is on the outside, so stretch by a factor of 3. Okay, so that's 3 times f of x, which goes 3 times 2 fourth root of x. So 3 times f of x is actually 6 fourth roots of x. Okay, reflect over the x-axis. If you go over the x-axis, you had to have changed your y value, which means it's on the outside. So that's negative f of x. So that's negative 6 fourth roots of x. It's on the outside. You change your y value, you went over x. So our new function is negative 6 fourth roots of x. Okay, pause the video, try the student problems. Okay, in the student problems, we want to change this fourth root function here, which is the parent, stretch it horizontally and translate 5 units down. This must happen first. That must happen second because translate down is vertical translation. That's the very last thing in the order of operations or the order of transformations. So horizontally is in the inside, so f of, and by a factor of 3 stretching, so I actually have to divide by 3 because it's counterintuitive, or multiply by 1/3. So it's the fourth root of x over 3, because we're replacing x with x over 3. Translate 5 units down as vertical. That's y, that's on the outside. So that's f of x minus 5. So the fourth root of x over 3 minus 5 on the outside. So that means my new function, g of x, is the fourth root of x over 3 with a minus 5 on the outside. Okay, next one. This is our parent right here. Shrink vertically by a factor and translate by 6 right. So that's a horizontal translation. That is the very first thing in order of transformations, and therefore that must be second. So that's f of x. Since it's horizontal, right, that must be in the inside. 6 units right must be minus 6 because it's counterintuitive. So the fifth root, the x is replaced with x minus 6. Right, the x is replaced with x minus 6. So f of x minus 6, which moves me to the right, becomes x minus 4. So shrink vertically. Shrink vertically. So that's on the outside. So it's vertically is y. Factor of 6 would be 1/6 times f of x, because shrinking would have to be multiplied by a sixth or divide by 6. Either way, you can see what's your choice on that. So we get the fifth root of x minus 6, or 4, sorry, 4, what am I saying? Okay, so you can either divide the whole thing by 6 or multiply it by 1/6. It's your choice. Either is equivalent. Probably this would be the textbook answer, I would guess, because they have it on the outside, which typically what the rule is. So my new function, g of x, is 1/6 times the fifth root of x minus 4. Okay. All right, let's move it down to the last one. All right, so the sixth root of 4x is our parent function. So we want to shrink vertically and reflect over the y-axis. So shrinking is a scaling that happens first and that happens second. Okay, according to the order of transformations. So shrink vertically by a factor of 5. So that's 1/5 times f of x. So that's 1/5 times the sixth root of 4x. That sounds pretty good there. All right. So then we have reflect over the y-axis. If you reflect over the y-axis, you had to have changed your x value. So that means the negative goes on the inside since we're changing x. So that's 1/5 times the sixth root of 4 times negative x, replacing x with negative x. Therefore, our new function is 1/5 times the sixth root of negative 4x. You can divide the whole thing by 5 too instead of multiplying by 1/5. It would be equivalent. That is the end of part 3.